On their first date, two climbers scale one of Europe's toughest mountains. But the romantic adventure they hope will bring them together tears them apart.
This mountain has become a complete demon.
We need to move, all right?
All hell is just breaking loose around my head.
Trapped inside a violent electrical storm, they must rely on each other to survive.
It's an utterly desperate situation.
I'm thinking we're not going to survive.
Jeremy!
I'd rather be here with you than anyone else.
The Badile mountain. Standing at 3,300 meters, its razor-sharp ridge forms the border between the Swiss and Italian Alps.
People come from all four corners of the globe to do this climb and to test themselves on this mountain.
Infamous for extreme weather, it's a climb as treacherous as it is breathtaking. And even for professional mountain climbers, like Rachel Kelsey and Jeremy Colenzo, it is the climb of a lifetime.
We started at 5 in the morning. Our aim was to get up and down the climb in a day.
That was fun. It was a wonderful feeling because we just moved so quickly and easily up this mountain. I was just so excited. You know, here I am doing a climb that I really want to do. And not only that, but I'm doing it with this very good-looking chap who I fancy.
Just great to be there with someone who's both a climbing partner, but also someone who you're becoming very fond of.
I was quite attracted to his quiet but confident nature.
Climbing.
And really liked a sense of adventure and just relaxed personality.
This romantic adventure is actually Rachel and Jeremy's first real date. The couple only got to know each other a few months ago while climbing in Great Britain.
We did a couple of local climbs together, and at this point I decided that I quite liked him.
We sort of hit it off, really, and a climbing partnership stroke friendship developed.
And then he said, would you like to come to Italy with me? I was totally bowled over, you know, taken aback. I had all these romantic visions of Italy and floating down the river on a gondola. But it very quickly became apparent that he was actually inviting me to go and do a climb. We planned and prepared meticulously. We looked at guidebooks, we got maps of the route. We worked out exactly what equipment we'd take. These little rucksacks hold about 20 litres, and in it we have just the essentials we'll need to succeed in this climb. So I have my waterproof jacket, an extra fleece, our hydration packs, the map of the route, and then we've got a couple of other things. One of them is a survival shelter and my mobile phone. And I remember tossing it up and down in my hand and thinking, shall I take this? Something just makes me think, oh, well, I'll just put it in. I can carry that extra weight.
Jeremy and Rachel are ascending the Badele's mighty North Ridge. The grueling climb up and then down the mountain should take them 14 hours. Weather permitting, their plan is to be back at base camp well before nightfall.
We were making incredibly good time. We didn't feel like we were rushing. We felt like it was just going really well. Jeremy is ahead, the rope's leading down to me. And I get to this point where I pull over onto this boulder. The whole thing wobbles. My heart just leaps into my throat.
You all right?
These moments when things nearly go terribly wrong, you have to just take a few deep breaths and recollect yourself and then keep going.
If you're not scared at all on a climb, it's probably not the right challenge for you.
2 hours later, and Jeremy and Rachel have overcome the most technically challenging part of the climb. Now, over 3,000 meters up the North Ridge, the couple are only minutes from the summit.
We reach a point where there's a bit of snow. I'm feeling completely excited. We're in spitting distance of the top of this climb. The sun is out. It's just a wonderful, fresh afternoon, and it seems perfect.
But with only 30 meters to go, they face a crushing blow.
I could see that the rock had become like an icy pavement. But if you turn that pavement vertically and then try and climb it, you get an idea of what you're confronted with.
They didn't expect to face ice, so haven't brought the equipment needed to climb it safely.
We were probably 30 vertical meters from the summit, but I realized that that was the end of our climb.
That's okay, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
There is a feeling of disappointment there. There definitely is. But there's no time for that. You just need to prepare with the next section and get on with it. And the next section's getting down.
But unable to reach the summit, Rachel and Jeremy can't see a massive electrical storm that's brewing in the valley beyond.
Jeremy's working with the ropes to try and sort them out for the abseil. I look out into the valley below. And I notice these clouds swirling in. At the same time, I feel a sharp drop in the temperature. And I just know inside that this is heralding a storm, and we've got to get out now.
Jeremy, I think we better stop moving.
I can hear wind, which is like, it sounds like a freight train coming at you. And I realized the weather's turning.
Right. Yeah, let's go.
Jeremy and Rachel know it's simply too dangerous to stay on the mountain.
So quickly we just get out our head torches, put them onto our helmets. We throw on our waterproofs and get ourselves prepared, basically for the worst.
They must rappel down before the storm unleashes its full fury.
And then there's this huge crack of thunder and the whole sky lights up with this incredible pink lightning.
We need to move, all right?
My heart begins to pound because 90% of accidents in the mountains happen on the descent, not the ascent.
And now they must attempt the perilous descent in the midst of a raging storm.
On a good day, with clear skies, descending down this mountain is a tricky task for an experienced climber. In a storm, it's just a nightmare.
Seeing the flash and hearing the clap of thunder simultaneously, we know that the storm is right on top of us. We are surrounded by metal, and we've got every chance of being hit by a bolt of lightning.
After 3 hours, they're not even a quarter of the way down. And as the light fades, the temperature plummets to -7 Celsius.
I'm suddenly aware of this sort of static feeling in the air, like the air is charged.
Jeremy's a very calm person, but I can see in his eyes that he looks worried. And I know that if he's worried, it's the time to be worried.
I've never been so terrified in my life.
And suddenly there's a huge explosion. I'm thinking we're not going to survive. It's incredibly hard not to panic whilst all hell is just breaking loose around my head.
In the heart of the storm, lightning is striking all around them.
Every time I hear the thunder crash, I think, is that me? Is that me? I don't know exactly how many abseils we've done. All I know is that we've been what feels like hours. Jeremy's setting off in the next abseil, and I just think there's something not right here.
I abseil past this block, and the rope catches behind the corner of the block. And I can't get the rope out.
It suddenly all clicks.
Jeremy!
This is that really wobbly boulder that we passed on the way up. And his rope has slipped right around it.
Rachel realizes that pulling the rope free risks dislodging the giant boulder teetering above Jeremy's head.
And I shout to him,
Don't break your rope! Jeremy! Don't break your rope!
he can't hear me. The storm is so loud, he can't hear me.
Jeremy has no idea that a quarter of a ton of rock, only meters from his head, is loosening with every single tug.
I hear this huge, terrible sound as it bounces down the mountain. There's no way he could have survived it.
Rachel fears that Jeremy has been swept off the mountain.
Eventually, I opened my eyes. It was a huge rush of relief and surprise to see him there.
I look up at Rachel. She's looking down at me, and I go, that missed me by that much. If it had hit me, that would have been me. I would have been dead.
He was ashen-faced and had these huge white eyes.
And I can't believe that's just happened.
And then he just put his head down and carried on abseiling.
Jeremy knows that if they are to survive, they must continue down the mountain. But the storm is intensifying.
Now I felt like our days were numbered, our minutes were numbered, and I just knew it wasn't a case of if, it was a case of when. But I had no choice but to go on.
As they press on, Jeremy and Rachel face a new challenge.
It was becoming increasingly difficult to find the features that we passed on the way up.
We pulled out our guidebook and we tried to work out where we were, and we just couldn't.
Can you see this? Here. Okay, look for that.
You're now looking at a different mountain, a different ridge to the one that you ascended.
Unable to see any landmarks, Rachel and Jeremy are lost. In this perilous terrain, choosing the wrong route could spell the difference between life and death.
We're now at a decision-making point.
What do you reckon?
I pointed down and he nodded.
All right. I hope you're right, eh?
Unable to see what lies below, they could be rappelling straight over a precipice. Jeremy insists on going first.
The last thing I remember seeing was the red hood and his head torch. And then I was alone. And it was very, very frightening.
I find myself on the lip of an overhang. As soon as I descend over the lip, I'm hanging in space. Below, there's a black, inky void.
I had no way of knowing whether this was the right way. And it was too late to call him back. I had to just wait.
I'm thinking, okay, I've tied a knot in the end of the ropes, but what if I get to the end of them and I still haven't touched down? The only way out of here is to descend.
Jeremy has only 30 meters of rope left, but the void below could be hundreds of meters. After 30 long minutes, there is still no signal from Jeremy. And knowing the dangers that surround them, Rachel fears for his life.
I had a horrible feeling that he'd been struck by lightning. Or else he was stuck with no way back up and no way down. The lightning was still just lighting up things, and I noticed these lumps above me. These were actually pitons, which had been banged in a line. Suddenly I knew exactly where we were.
The position of the pitons tells Rachel they've strayed from the main ridgeline.
Jeremy! Jeremy!
And Jeremy is now descending into a 600-meter void with just 30 meters of rope.
Jeremy!
We must have gone 10 meters, of course, if that. And yet, the ramifications could spell the end for us.
With no sign of her climbing partner, Rachel fears that Jeremy has been killed by a boulder fall or a lightning strike.
I felt hopeless. He's heavier than me. I couldn't possibly haul him back up. And yet the only way we were going to get off this mountain was using the ropes. And if he was hanging on the ropes, there's no way I could use them. I would have had no option but to actually sever the rope.
She faces an unthinkable dilemma. Stay here, roped to a dead man, and face a slow death, or contemplate cutting the rope and escape.
I was just praying. I was absolutely praying and hoping that I wouldn't have to do it.
But down below, Jeremy is actually still alive. He's reaching the end of his rope, with nearly 600 meters of clear air still below him.
My gut feeling was that we made the wrong decision. I need to go back up the ropes.
It's a desperate blow. Jeremy has rappelled down 30 meters. He's exhausted, but his only option is to climb back up. Muscles aching, he attaches a mechanical ascending device called a Jumar and starts to haul himself up, meter by agonizing meter.
I'm doing these pull-ups whilst being battered by this 70-mile-an-hour wind. It's just horrendous.
I was really afraid. Here was the weight of his body on the rope, but I didn't know if I'd ever be talking to him again.
I can feel my biceps and my abdominal muscles, everything clenching. It's like for every 2 feet that I go up, I slide 1 foot back down the rope.
Rachel knows that time is running out. Unaware that Jeremy is climbing back up the rope, she prepares to make the toughest decision of her life.
After half an hour, I thought, I've actually got to go and deal with this.
Even if Jeremy is dead, Rachel decides she cannot cut the rope. Instead, she risks her own life by going to look for him.
I leaned back and I remember looking down and seeing this bright beam of light. It was Jeremy's head torch. I just couldn't believe it. I felt like it was the most wonderful moment of my life. And I just completely forgot about the storm and where we were, and I gave them this massive hug.
So pleased to see you.
Okay?
I was just so glad to be back.
The reunion brings home what they now mean to each other. But still, 3,000 meters up a storm-lashed mountain, Rachel and Jeremy remain in grave danger. If they're to survive the freezing night, the next challenge is to find shelter. And their only hope is to reach a small ledge 20 meters away.
I'll go first, and then you follow, all right? Okay, sit back here.
We've been through hell. Now we've landed on this ledge. But it's halfway up the mountain.
Thanks to their meticulous preparations, Rachel and Jeremy have packed a lightweight survival sheet. It's now all that stands between them and the bone-chilling force of the storm.
You okay?
Yeah.
As soon as you stop moving, you can feel how cold it is. By our calculations, -10. With that sort of wind, it's -25.
I'm now shivering uncontrollably. My fingers had gone completely white and were starting to freeze with frostbite.
We need to warm our hands and feet every hour, okay?
To prevent frostbite, the couple must restore blood circulation immediately.
This is gonna hurt.
Just do it.
It's an incredibly painful experience as the blood starts circulating back.
Oh.
The feeling is like sticking your hand into a burning flame and leaving it there.
As the night progresses, temperatures plummet to life-threatening levels. Trapped 3,000 meters up the mountain, the couple now face a battle to survive.
It was apparent how close we were to becoming severely hypothermic.
The couple know that as hypothermia takes hold, the decreased oxygen flow to the brain will cause drowsiness, then death. It's vital they stay awake.
If one of us had gone to sleep, it would have been far too tempting for the other one just to have a few minutes as well and then not wake up.
In this situation, your climbing partner is your biggest asset.
We both have to stay awake and motivate each other to keep going for as long as it takes.
After 20 hours on the mountain, Rachel and Jeremy are physically exhausted.
Hey, you need some energy. Have a drink.
They know that if they are to last the night, they must replenish lost energy.
Neither of us have drunk in hours because we've been focusing on getting through the storm. So we pull out our liquid carbohydrate packs, which are now just solid ice. And we try to warm them up. It makes no difference at all. Our bodies are too cold to defrost these in the slightest. It's a huge blow to our morale.
Jeremy and Rachel now face the longest night of their lives.
It's too frightening for me to think about what on earth is going to happen next. I reckoned we had about a 30% chance of survival.
You're 3,000 meters up, it's -25 outside. I mean, it's an utterly desperate situation.
I was sitting back and I felt this lump. And then suddenly something dawned on me. This lump was my mobile phone. I was overjoyed.
Turn it on.
And I just thought, this is it. And then almost at that same instant, I thought, don't get excited. Because I couldn't bear the thought of just another thing going wrong.
I wasn't expecting it to work. I just figured it's too cold, that battery's going to be dead. And I didn't expect it to have any reception.
I just prayed, I just thought, please, please.
Yeah!
It was just like a golden moment. A couple of bars of battery life and then 3 bars of reception.
This connection to the outside world is an unexpected but crucial lifeline.
I guess we better call search and rescue.
Yeah. Okay.
This was our chance. If we wait, it could be too late. I couldn't get through.
It's the right number. I know it's the right number.
Try it again.
Unable to call for help, Rachel realizes that the storm must be interfering with the signal on her mobile phone.
I don't know if this will work, but let's try an SMS.
Then we decided that we were going to send a text message to one of our most reliable friends.
Try Avery. No?
Keep it simple.
We wrote, need heli rescue, Northridge, Badile, Switzerland. And then we pressed the send button. And it was like sending a prayer. The last chance of someone finding out that we were there before it was too late for us.
We turned off the phone to conserve the battery power. The focus is now on surviving.
While sending the message has given them hope, there is still no respite from the storm.
We were aiming for dawn. We didn't know what dawn had to hold because, if anything, the storm just appeared to be getting worse.
Through sheer determination, Rachel and Jeremy have managed to survive the night.
It went from being black to grey outside, but daylight had no bearing on the temperature.
Each time the wind blows out, little ice crystals come and shower your body. We were becoming cocooned in ice, and literally our clothing was starting to freeze onto our body. I felt completely exhausted, just shattered. Every now and again, lightning would strike. At that point, I thought, if the lightning hits us, it hits us. At least it will be quick.
There's no way we can descend. it would have been a suicide mission.
Exhausted and hypothermic, trying to rappel off the storm-lashed mountain is impossible.
Let's see if we got an SMS.
I switched on the phone and we took a deep breath. And then we heard that sound. It was from Avery. He said, "I'm on the case."
Rachel's close friend, Avery Cunliffe, has received the message and contacted the emergency services.
It really gave me hope. There were now people out there who knew our situation, understood it, and were on the case.
But until the weather improves, any rescue attempt is out of the question. After 10 long hours, a break in the storm offers the climbers a glimmer of hope.
And then we hear a tiny, tiny sound over the wind.
Do you hear that?
Sort of whop, 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 whop. And you can't tell if it's the wind or a helicopter. And then it gets louder and you become more and more definite, more and more clear that, yes, this is the helicopter.
Over here!
And I can see the helicopter and I jump up and down with the shelter in my hand and Jeremy stands there with his hands up. There was complete relief and elation.
We're out of here, you know, it's all over. This nightmare's going to end.
And I can see the pilot. And it's like he's so close, I can actually touch him. I'm waiting for this man or this rope to come out of the helicopter, and it doesn't happen.
We see this helicopter just being tossed about like a cork on the ocean, you know, up and down, left and right. And I just look at this and go, yeah, there's no way. It's just suicide from their point of view.
Trying to extract the couple in these weather conditions risks crashing the helicopter into the mountainside, killing Rachel and Jeremy, as well as the crew.
It's devastating. They were just so close, and yet a world apart from us. Jeremy hugged me and he said,
Hey, you know where we are, all right? They'll get to us. Don't worry, all right? They know where we are.
I had to say the right things, but I knew deep down that we were going nowhere.
As dusk falls, Rachel and Jeremy face another horrific night on the mountain. Rapidly succumbing to hypothermia, the couple risk losing consciousness and slipping into a coma.
we are very much on borrowed time now. And he squeezes me. And then I knew that I might not get another opportunity to say it, so I just said,
I'd rather be here with you than anyone else.
Me too.
It's horrible because we're not going to make another night. So we write a message to Avery.
We wanted them to know that if we were not evacuated within the next 12 hours, we would most certainly die.
It's a horrible, really horrible thing to do, to write to a friend of yours and tell them that you're not going to live. It feels like there's no time at all, and then there's a reply, and I feel sick when I see what he's writing back to me. And he says, "Shall I call your family?" It was a chance to say goodbye. But it's like something huge wells up inside me, and I just think,
No, we're not gonna do this. We've got to keep fighting, Jeremy, we've got to. I can't say goodbye.
I just couldn't do it. We've got to keep on, we've got to keep going. I just couldn't bear the pain of the thought of saying goodbye.
But despite her determination, Rachel knows this is a fight they may not win.
I close my eyes and put my hands together and I start praying. It's an incredibly humbling experience, praying for your life. I was vaguely aware of it getting light, but it was almost like it didn't matter anymore because I couldn't function anyway.
Against all the odds, the couple have endured a second night. But they're now losing the will to survive.
Well, your brain's shutting down because you're freezing cold. You just want it to end.
And then it just suddenly became apparent to both of us that the wind was dying down.
Rachel realizes that the weather is improving and seizes the opportunity.
I turned the phone on and I called the rescue team, and amazingly, when I dial this number, we get straight through.
Hello, this is Swiss Rescue.
I said,
Rachel,
which I knew was my voice, but I didn't know what was coming out of it. It was like being drugged.
Hello, Rachel.
And I heard this really ecstatic sound on the end of the phone, almost like someone who incredibly surprised. They couldn't believe that we were actually alive.
Okay, we're going to send...
They tell us that they're going to make a rescue attempt at 7 o'clock. But I don't want to get too excited.
Jeremy and Rachel know this rescue attempt is their last chance.
they're coming.
Jeremy said it's coming up the ridgeline, and we couldn't see it yet, but we could hear the direction. And then I remember seeing this helicopter, and it looked tiny. This mountain is huge, and there was this tiny little black dot working its way towards us, and then suddenly it just became bigger and bigger, and then it was right there.
And then it hovers above me, and I can see the winchman at the door. I can see his face. I could see the cable coming towards me. when it sunk in that, you know, we'd made it. It's a fantastic feeling, you know, you've made it, and yeah, you're going to have another chance.
We've done it. We've survived, and I could smile. I knew we were alive now.
After 40 hours in bitterly cold conditions, Jeremy and Rachel are airlifted to safety. Thanks to their survival efforts, the couple suffered no long-term damage, and both made full recoveries. However, their experiences on the mountain did have a lasting effect.
Those 2 days changed my life. I'd set out with someone who I thought was good-looking, a good climber, and now suddenly here was someone who I had this incredibly close connection with. Someone who, as long as I lived, would be in my mind. Someone who would stand by me and be with me every step of the way.
I just realised that this person was, you know, the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
Each day I wake up and I just feel so happy to be alive and so thankful. I'm now married with 2 lovely daughters. Every day is a blessing, every day is a gift.